Today we're going to be addressing the high idle that we got with the Retro Fox. If you guys don't know, I mentioned it in a live stream. So this car, after it gets into closed loop, probably a couple of minutes of idling, maybe 2 minutes or so, after it reaches closed loop and the car's sitting there idling, it'll just shoot up in RPMs to about 2,000 or so, and then it'll kind of level back off, and then it may do it again, and then again it may not. So we're going to be addressing that today. I'm at least going to look over it, so by the end of the video, if I have not found the problem, you guys are more than welcome to give me some ideas. Let's go over a list of things that I have changed already though with this car. One being the idle air control. I've changed it a couple of times and it's not made a difference, but we're going to go ahead and do that again today. We also have an A9P computer. So this is for an automatic. If you don't know, it will work in a 5-speed car, but not the other way around. And over here we have a new battery. So these Rural King batteries, if you guys don't know, are dirt cheap. So if you guys have one of these around you, I think this is like $58, $60 for this battery, and I've not had a lick of trouble out of them. They're not the coolest looking, but they work on a budget. So what I'm gonna do now is start the car up. We're gonna let it idle and go ahead and get this thing up to temp and see if we can get it to do what it's been doing. All right, let's get started. So also in this video, we're gonna be testing out this Viking little jump start kit. I've already used it, but I just wanna show you guys how it performs. This battery is completely dead. It's in the car right now. And before we put this new battery in, we're just gonna see if this thing can jump the car off. As you can see, the battery is pretty much completely dead. So let's go ahead, pop this thing on. Hit your button right there to turn it on. You hit the red button for start. When the green light comes on, you should be able to start the car. So we got the car idling. I'm gonna go ahead and let it warm up, and as soon as it starts its little issue that it likes to do, I'll go ahead and pick the camera back up and record it for you guys. So I wanted to check a few things while we're here. So if the car starts to act up, we'll catch it firsthand. There's a couple things that I wanted to go ahead and go over with you guys. You can unplug the idle air control on the car once the idle shoots up, and it'll come down. So we know the idle air control is what is doing this. So it could be a bad idle air control, or it could be a bad computer. Either way, we're gonna try to address that today. Okay, so what I was doing there was checking the fuel pressure regulator to make sure it wasn't leaking. If those regulators are busted, you can pull the vacuum line off of them and they'll be shooting gas up through it. So like the vacuum will be pulling the gas out of the busted diaphragm inside of your regulator. So that's something you guys can do. Also, if you're unsure about your alternator, let's say you think you have a weak alternator or your alternator is going out, sometimes it can be hard to tell. Maybe the light on the dash is not working, whatever the case may be. Let me show you a quick tip to make sure to see if your alternator is still working or not. All you have to do is come up and take the battery cable off of your battery. If your car continues to run, that means your alternator is at least applying enough power to run the car. Anyway, there's a quick tip on that. So maybe that'll help somebody out. Still waiting on this thing to idle up and do its thing. So I guess I'll get back with you in just a second. Okay, so from what I can tell, it's not changing the position of the throttle body. So the TPS would read if the throttle body itself is moving in any way, which I don't know why it would, but I had some people ask to check the voltage. The voltage, now I did catch it at the tail end, seems to be fine. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and swap out this idle air control here, and then I'll run the car and then I'll let you know what happens. This video is gonna be an hour long if I don't cut out all that stuff. So let me change this out and then we'll see if that fixes it or not. Well, that didn't work, but so I went ahead and pulled out the A9L computer right here, and it's hot. Like, I say hot. This thing is pretty warm, which I know they get warm, so not sure on that. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and toss in this A9P computer, which is really simple, guys. The hardest part about this is really getting the computer back into place, but for right now we don't really care about that. We're just gonna stick this thing in here, see if it helps. All right, got the new computer in. So at this point, that's a new idle air control and a new computer. I'm just gonna let this thing sit here and run, see if it does it again. I'll try to leave the camera on as long as I can to let you guys see if it does it again. I'm not sure if it's gonna fix it or not. If it doesn't fix it, more than likely it's gonna be something like a ACT or ECT sensor, which I changed a long time ago. So my GoPro just decided to die somewhere along those lines. I don't know if the camera caught it or not. This thing started surging really bad and ended up completely turning off, just completely cutting off on me. So this car has been running great, meaning no up and down idle, none of that crap. This thing has been running perfect, except for every once in a while, it would just raise up in idle, hang for a minute, and come down. Not your typical surging, right? None of that surging crap. You could drive this thing anywhere, but just, you had to know at some point it was gonna do that. These computers get a bad rap, right? Back in the day, 10, 15, 20 years ago, like, everybody that had an issue with a Fox body said it was the computer. I mean, it was just the thing to say, you know, computer's bad. And man, you had people getting Cobra computers from Mexico, computers out of different cars. I mean, all like different types of computers, and it would run good for a while, and then next thing you know, it would be right back doing the same thing again. So what I do want to say is, I'd say probably 70% of the time, it's not your computer. It's usually a sensor or something else that's tied into it. They'll drive you crazy because you wouldn't think that this car has the capability of doing some of the things that it can. Fuel pressure is another thing too. On these cars, you have to watch fuel pressure. You know, when a car is cold, you have to, let's think back to like a dirt bike or something like that, right? When it's cold, you have to pull the choke. Well, same thing with these cars. When they're cold, they need a lot more fuel. Now, if that fuel doesn't alter itself, doesn't change itself, or doesn't lessen, I should say, by the time the car gets hot, now you have too much fuel and the car is going to want to idle crazy on you, either idle high or just idle weird or whatever the case may be. So if you're having any issues like that, check your regulator. You never know. All right. I'm going to do a quick base idle reset on the car. I'm not going to go through that whole process. I'll put a link to a video right here if you guys want to check it out. All right, we did the base idle reset, added a little bit of Freon to the car. Got some nice cold air now in here. Yeah. Still says we got low coolant. I'll address that in a minute, but as you can see, we're somewhere around 800 RPM, something like that. The car is idling great at the moment. Now, if there is another issue, we'll have to find out later on. But right now, the car's doing really, really good. So I don't know, maybe it was a computer issue. And by the way, guys, we had already smoke tested this engine several times. This thing has 0 vacuum leaks at all, so it should be good to go. All right, well, I'll give you guys an update later on to let you know if that fixed the problem or if the problem came back. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, wrap this video up, and as always, thanks for watching.